بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, by the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are going to read and translate and study the meaning of one of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith. One of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying. This hadith is an authentic hadith, hadithun sahih. رواه البخاري ومسلم. It was narrated by Imam Bukhari and by Imam Muslim. عن أبي عبد الرحمن عبد الله بن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنهما قال: سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: بني الإسلام على خمس. بني الإسلام على خمس: شهادة أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمدا رسول الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وحج البيت وصوم رمضان. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in this hadith that was narrated to us by Abdullah bin Umar radiyallahu anhu, Abdullah son of Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, who was nicknamed Abu Abdurrahman, Abi Abdurrahman. He was father of Abdurrahman. He's saying that I've heard the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, بني الإسلام على خمس. Islam was built on 5. Okay? The testimony of faith, testifying, and basically bearing witness to be a believer as a Muslim. That is, I testify that I bear witness that there is no God or Lord worthy of worship, who deserve to be worshipped, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And I bear witness and testify that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, peace and blessing be upon him, is his last and final messenger. Second one is establishing and performing the prayers. Third one is paying the zakah. And fourth one is Hajj al-Bayt, performing the pilgrim to Mecca, to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Mecca. And last one he mentioned in this hadith, fasting Ramadan. This hadith was narrated by Al-Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim. طيب. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in this hadith is saying that Islam was built on 5 pillars. And we all know that the pillars are the foundation of any buildings. When you are going to build a room or a house or a big, building, you need to have pillars, foundations that's going to start the building going up. If those foundations have crack in them, or if they're not strong enough, or if they're not powerful enough, or there aren't enough foundation or pillars, then that building is going to eventually what? Collapse. That building will collapse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have built this Islam on 5 perfect foundations. Those foundations, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is teaching them to us. The first pillar of Islam, and the most important pillar of Islam, and the one that actually allow you to enter in Islam and become a Muslim. And Islam, as we all know, is to surrender and submit your life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seeking His help and seeking His mercy, seeking His blessing and seeking His reward. So to become a Muslim, it means you are surrendering yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will. You are submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order. And there is nothing wrong with that submission, because submission, if you take it in a linguistic way or physical way, it means somebody submitted you. It means somebody forced you, overpowered you. No. In Islam, when you're submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will and power and religion, you are doing it willingly. You're happy to do it. You're not forced. Religion is not forced upon anybody. Religion is not forced upon anybody. It was an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we as human have the choice to either follow it to get the blessing and reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or walk away from it and think that we're getting away with it, but wal'iyadhu billah, get the eternal punishment in Jahannam wal-iyadhu billah. So we have a choice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْنِ. We showed him both paths, the right from the wrong, the right from left. We know that. So Islam, by submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worshipping Him alone subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's our gain. It's not forced upon us and it's not demeaning to us. Some people tell you, I don't want to submit to anybody. I'm my own person. Yeah, you are your own person, but you are also a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't think that you're basically the top. No. If you look at us, we all look alike. We're all human. We're all weak. We all bleed the same blood. We all get ill the same way. We get weak. So we're not as powerful as we think, and we must submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will and follow the religion that was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all human. And that is to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to worship Him alone, to be a Muslim. So the religion of Islam, or the word Islam, is not talking about our religion nowadays only. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ. The religion chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His servant and follower and creation is Islam. And it means to surrender yourself and life and submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will and order and do as He ordered you to do. And all prophet came with the same message. All prophet came with the same message. أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاتَّقُوهُ وَأَطِيعُونَ. To worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to obey and follow the Prophet's order and to actually be complete obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order and to the religion chosen. So the first thing that a person must do is to testify the testimony of faith which we just mentioned. The second one is iqam as-salah, establishing and performing the daily prayers. And we all know that past nations, for example, Musa alayhi salam and the Jew, they were ordered to pray 50 times per day. 50 prayers per day. Each day they were supposed to pray 50 times. That's going to consume most of the day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was merciful to us, the people of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He only gave us 5 prayers per day, but yet if we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly, then we get the deeds of 50 prayers, just like Bani Israel, just like the people of Israel, just like the Jew back in their days. So the second important pillar in Islam, and the one that if a person does not perform it on purpose, he or she will become kafir. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in a hadith, العهد الذي بيننا وبينهم الصلاة فمن تركها فقد كفر. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said in an authentic hadith that basically the separator or the difference or the promise that was between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the prayer. Whomever leave it and walk away from it and ignore it and does not do it and does not perform it, then he or she are kafir. And that's really scary, dear brothers and sisters. We must perform our daily prayer on time according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's order, and we must learn how to pray properly the way the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a hadith said to us, "Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli." Pray the way you saw me pray. We now did not see the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam physically how he prayed, but the honorable Sahabi, the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ridwanullahi alayhim, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with all of them, they have delivered the hadith to us describing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayer from the beginning to the end in extreme details. How he stood, how he prayed, how he read, how he recited the Quran, how he did the ruku', the sujood, the tashahud, all of it completely. So we as Muslim must learn how to pray properly. And this is what I want you to understand. We shouldn't copy other people's prayer and learn from them. We need to research it from the authentic hadith and find out exactly the details and learn how to pray.